persons. And then in May, 7,964 persons. And June, 5,278 persons. So we see that the numbers are falling, which means that persons are returning to work.
Right.
And we can see that because we have extended we
have reopened quite a bit.
We have reopened, and just now we're going to be fully operational again, given the new restrictions and so on.
Are you in possession of the information that tells what percentage of the entire workforce is 8,275 persons? Would that be 5%, 10%, and 80%?
Well, I am not at liberty to discuss the percentage because I don't want to give any inaccurate information.
Right.
But
that's not like a lot of people.
I just was going to say we have actively registered over 25,000 names. That means that those persons have a social security number, but they may not necessarily be actively engaged. So those numbers of engagement change from time to time, and I can't say today what it is because it changed, but it's usually between the 8,000, because this number represents self-employed persons and employees.
Right.
So it's usually in that workspace.
You know, we've always, those of us who would like to follow the statistics and so on, we find this interesting because if the last census in St. Kitts about 10 years ago told us that we had less than 35,000 persons in St. Kitts. Less than 35,000.
Yes.
And you're saying you have 25,000 persons
with a card.
With a card.
With a social security number.
Those can only be persons over the age of 16 or 18.
Over the age of 16.
Right, but yet the census suggested that over 60% of the population was in fact below the age of 15.
But you see, we've become a very globalized, a small space, so we have lots of persons who are entering the workforce may not necessarily be what we call, as we like to say it here, legal. But they have the right to a social security number because any injury, any benefit that is available to working persons, and this is not St. Kitts, this is the International Labour Organization that prescribes that working persons must be covered.
Legal or illegal?
For social security.
That's interesting because I don't consider this a digression. I don't think we're digressing.
No, we're talking social security.
Right, but if an individual comes here from, for argument's sake, Panama, and decides, man, St. Kitts is lovely, St. Kitts is far more accommodating than I thought it was, I'm going to stay here. And an employer, he gets to work, but he can also be self-employed. He can start something somewhere, as we've seen quite a number of non-kitchens open up, you know, on the sidewalks here, there, and everywhere. And so after a year, he would have been given a month's legal stay. He has overstayed that by a factor of 10. And he applies for Social Security. He gets it. He applies for Social Security card, sorry.
Once you apply for a Social Security card and it's proof, and you have proof of employment, no, you're automatically entitled by law to a Social Security number. If all working persons, regardless of
legal status,
where you're from, where you're born, whatever, all working persons must register, and this is law. However, we don't just take the information and say, okay, this person from Panama, and leave it there. Because we are working with other statutory bodies, we pass the information onward so they can do their preliminary checks as well and do what it's necessary to do. That's why you would hear some people say, I have my work permit and whatever and so on, or I don't have my work permit and so on.
That's very interesting because I would imagine, so in total fact, a number of these individuals, a percentage of this number, 8,275 in April, 7,964 in May, 5,278 in June, and over approximately 3,000 we're expecting this month. It is correct to say, not just assume, it is correct to say that at least a portion of those persons would be non-Kittitians.
And that's fine, yes.
Okay. Even though they might be here illegally. I don't want you to.
I don't know.
If you're not comfortable answering the question, you can.
Of course,
let it pass.
No, I'm quite comfortable. I'm not frightened. We're sharing information that is important for persons to understand that Social Security provides working persons with the coverage that they need.
It is not Social Security's duty to determine whether the person is here working legally or not. The fact is they provided proof that they're here, that they're working.
Social Security works in
conjunction.
Yes, and in collaboration with the other entities, being the national security, to provide them with the information necessary for them to do their end. But we have to ensure that working persons are covered.
I see. Yeah, that is an interesting issue, which I'm thinking I'm going to invite a number of persons, 2 or 3 persons from other agencies to discuss in more depth and detail this phenomenon, because I think a lot of us would not be too happy to know that persons just come here willy-nilly, pambi-nambi, and get a Social Security card, which then entitles them to a lot of benefits. The same as those persons who apart from us, we who were born here, of course, apart from those who would have gone to the legal channels and ensured that they are properly and lawfully workers. In St. Kitts, we have those who fly by night, come through the loopholes and
I don't want you to get the idea that it's a free-for-all, you know.
It almost sounds like that.
No, it's not. There are parameters. We have to ensure that working persons are registered. And then there are other things that are in place to ensure that the necessary end comes thereafter. And that is outside of Social Security. We do our bit to register, and we pass the information onward to the other departments, the other government agencies who will do their end.
Okay,
I cannot speak on their end because I'm not their officer.
Social Security is ensuring that it does what is incumbent upon it.
By law.
By law.
Yes.
Now, the relief fund, which is extended for this month of September, also applies to self-employed persons?
Yes, very good. Thank you for asking. Now, the interesting thing with the self-employed is that they would have to reapply for the assistance. So the self-employed persons, you are asked to come to our office to collect the form and complete it and leave it with us, and you have until Friday at 4 p.m. to do this. Applications after that time would not be accepted.
Let me ask you to repeat that, please, Madam Lawrence. Those persons who are self-employed, you are being advised, and perhaps it's not the first time, but repetition is important. I know that as a teacher all my life, if I didn't repeat a number of things, hardly anyone would learn. So for completion, persons who are self-employed must apply, must come to the office by 4 p.m.
on Friday.
On Friday 18th.
Yes.
Complete the form, leave it there.
Yes,
and then there will be, each person will be contacted, he or she will be contacted afterwards as to when he or she can come and collect.
Well, not just come and collect, because again, we have to ensure that these persons have not just submitted the form.
Due diligence.
So very good. So that
exercise.
And that is why it's important for us to understand that nothing at Social Security is overnight. It's not a quick fix. We have to ensure, and that is why persons would thank you. That is why persons would have experienced some delay, because I'm sure you would have heard persons saying they're staying a bit long. But we have to ensure that what we do, because we have to be held accountable.
Yeah, well, thanks for that reassurance that that it is in fact not a flimsy kind of operation.
No, structures are in place.
Very well.
And because we need to ensure that when I get to 62 and my children get to 62, they can bear the burden of having to pay, just like how we who are working now are paying the pensions of those who are already on pension. We have to ensure that our Social Security system remains viable.
That's the point. And you know, there are persons who have been questioning. Again, you don't have to answer if you don't wish. There are persons that have been questioning whether the payments are compromising the financial integrity, as it were, of Social Security. But we believe, some of us believe that it is not, that Social Security is sound and strong and solid, and others express that concern, which is a legitimate concern, because we want to ensure that not only those of us who are not at 62, when we get there, we will, in fact, be able to access Social Security, but others.
And it's a fair question. It's a fair question.
Since we don't live for ourselves, we are concerned about our fellow men, those who are younger, those who are a bit older, that everyone can access the basket, benefits, as it were, when the time comes.
Sure, and I want to assure the public that Social Security remains viable, we remain sound, and the specific funds that we are using are not necessarily from the Social Security fund per se.
Okay.
They are not from like your contributions per se.
Right. So
good. They are in a yes. So you're quite okay, and we will ensure and continue to ensure that all the measures and checks are in place to ensure that our Social Security is around.
So let's repeat that as well. That when John Brown, who is going to turn 62 in 8 years' time,
yes,
when he turns 62 in 8 years' time, the contributions that are now being made to ensure that he receives his pension, those funds are not the ones being extracted for the purpose of the Extension Relief Fund.
No, and let me say also, Social Security is to ensure the stability of our economy. And this is evident in our investments. We invest in health because annually we make a contribution of 270,000 EC dollars to the health sector. This is to bolster the health care so that our people can go to work and be healthy and work and contribute to the fund. And recently we just donated 2 ambulances to Nevis.
Very good. Congratulations.
So, thank you. And this is to serve the people. So we want to ensure that our people are healthy and working. We invest also in housing through loans that we give to government, so that in itself could develop our housing stock so that people can work and get employment out of that. And you know how it trickles down, so that every investment we do is just not one-fold, because we understand our obligation to assist. This COVID experience was nothing like any one of us.
Is nothing.
It ain't gone away. That's true. It's nothing like nothing that any one of us would have thought about. Luckily, our fund is such that we can provide the support that we are providing.
And I happen to know that Social Security also invests in education.
Very well.
Because I have been present at a number of ceremonies at which students receive their scholarships.
As a matter of fact, I'm glad you said that. It has been our anniversary gift since 1983 to the Federation, and just now there's going to be a new installment of students again. So we continue to invest so that it's a circular effect, that the money keeps going round and round. We just had to spend some this time. You know, it happens in real life. Even in our home, you didn't think that the fridge gonna break down, and it break down, and you had to touch your emergency fund to take care of it. And that is why Social Security.
And then talking about our vehicles, same thing.
Oh yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lines are now open. You can call us at 465-2555. Call us here on ZZ, Frank and Candid, and speak with Miss Camilla Elizabeth Lawrence.
I appreciate that.
PRO.
Yes, I'm royal, Elizabeth.
You better believe it. Regal and royal. And let's hear what your views are, what your questions are, with respect to the matter at hand. So we'll take a break now. I'm being advised we should take a station break now, and then when we come back, the lines will be open, and you talk to us on Frank and Candid.
On the 869 area. Celebrating your radio. Z-I-Z.
Honey, I just looked at the insurance for the house and realized that you put the stated value to be less than half of what the realtor says it's worth.
Yeah, I did that on purpose to keep the premium down.
But you do realize that if anything happens, we could only build back half of the house, right?
Boy, don't insure half your home. Being underinsured is as bad as not being insured. Get a certified appraiser to assess your property and make sure you insure it at the correct rebuild value. Hon, what are you doing with a tape measure?
I'm checking to see where you're going to sleep in your half a house.
Magical Insurances. Fast, fair, and always there.
It's Praise on the Pulse. Join me, your host Dawn, every Wednesday night, right here on the Pulse of the Eastern Caribbean, ZIZ, as we lift up the name of the Lord. You will get the best of praise and worship music with inspiration for the nation on Praise on the Pulse. Don't miss it. Tune in every Wednesday night to the family station, ZIZ at 8 p.m. for Praise on the Pulse.
Poinciana Restaurant on the Frigate Bay Road opens daily at 11 a.m. to serve you lunch and dinner. Whether you desire to dine in or take out, Poinciana Restaurant offers both to serve you better. Call Poinciana Restaurant at 465-5216 for your lunch or dinner takeout and reservations.
Power Talk, Skelec's new electrifying 15-minute radio program, features on ZIZ every first Wednesday of each month. Tune in for the latest information on what's happening at Skelec. Learn more about doing business with us and the services we offer. Power Talk, powered by Skelec.
Every first and third Wednesday at 9:30 a.m.
ZIZ Radio, the pulse of the Eastern Caribbean. Proudly united in leading, serving, and entertaining.
For sticking and staying with us on Frank and Candid, and the lines are open. We would have heard from Miss Lawrence, of course, and she would have shared some very important information. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Independence time. It's Independence time. It's a time when we are supposed to reflect and reflect on and consider what we would have achieved over the past years, in particular the last calendar year, and we would have realized that when we last celebrated independence last year, 2019, we would have made grand plans to celebrate again this year, not knowing, of course, that COVID would make his unwelcome intervention. And as a result of that, a number of persons have been badly affected, some very severely, with respect to their income earnings. Social Security has stepped in and has provided some relief in the form of cash payments to a number of individuals, thousands of individuals, as a matter of fact, over a period of time. And they're doing it again this month, September, and so that is good news. We are hoping that persons who are eligible would avail themselves of the opportunity, and of course that they would spend the money wisely. We are not sure what is going to happen going forward. We don't know whether COVID is going to dissipate and disappear, or whether he's going to strengthen and remain with us forever. And we know that forever is a long, long time. So we have to guard ourselves against the various vicissitudes that we have to experience as part of our existence on this lovely blue planet. So we welcome we certainly do not welcome COVID. We welcome Social Security's intervention to assist us to confront the problems that COVID would have brought on. Let's take these callers, and Miss Lawrence, you can take note because we might take 2 or 3 at a time. Hello, caller.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Blake.
Sir.
Yes, and your guest here from Social Security.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Right, okay. I just want to say that I appreciate the effort and the generosity of the Social Security Office to have Nevis in their consideration to donate 2 new ambulances to Nevis. Because we know in times gone by, you going in an ambulance in St. Kitts and the ambulance not working properly and it start to backfire. The driver going to run out the ambulance thinking somebody leg a shot after him and left you in the ambulance sick. So that means the ambulance is bad. And the result of that, they're going to send that across to Nevis. So I am glad that Nevis is no longer being used as a solid waste, a refugee for property like vehicles. So I want to give again the Social Security Office lots of kudos and thanks that you all have that vision to be such generous to give Nevis 2 ambulances. You all are doing great. And if people like us who already pay Social Security never contributing to it, you all could not have done that because there would have been no contribution in the draw to take out. So again, you all have done well and you all are doing good. Keep it up. Have a good day.
Thank you. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Blake.
Sir, how are you?
And good morning, my good friend, Radical Culture.
Good morning.
And the good lady at Social Security. We at the Focus University discovering some things. And I was praying and hoping you come to Frank and Candid because Mr. Blake as the mediator will help us rub it out. When a person come into St. Kitts non-nationals. It's possible they just come down Social Security and get an ID. Because some rogue thing going on down there, you know. We have some young people coming out of Ireland, got Social Security card, and when government gain back citizens things, they're pretending like they're paying Social Security and receiving, and in the country it don't work so. You listening me clearly, ma'am?
Yes, I am listening, sir.
Well, you're so real dull. I want to know what's going on.
I guess.
Put a little thing in your voice so we hear your voice.
Yes, I am listening, sir.
I want you to explain to us the procedure
for someone to get a card.
Get a voter,
Social Security card.
From Social Security, because some nonsense going on. Where we have seen on the road, we could tell you, you know, this thing never used to happen. And when people don't come in here a month and got Social Security and no employer prove themselves when they're working with them, that's a problem with me. And next thing of them, we would like to see you all out there and collecting the Social Security revenue. We just can't pay no money, I want me money when I reach 62, you know. I want me money and a plane boy, you know. And a plane to the road workers them down there, you know, to come better than that with us, you know, because people watching. Mr. Blake.
Yes, sir.
At the Focus University, you know, we're very sensitive to a lot of things in this country.
Of course.
And I want the young lady there who seems to have a little position in Social Security to understand what's going on. And next thing I wanted to do for me is to visit these apartments and sometimes come and decide randomly to see what's going on. Because I tired of hearing so much complaining and so much nonsense. You understand? And these things now used to happen. And I asking all you young people who say I have all these subjects, are you much brighter than them who was there before, you know? And are you stepping up to the plate as anxious to collect Social Security revenue? And that's a problem with me. I don't take talk, you know. I don't take talk, and I don't back down. And when I feel it right, I can talk. Have a good day, Mr. Blake. I'm listening. I want you to explain it for us.
Very well. Thank you. We have another caller. Okay. Right. So, Miss Lawrence, yes, and he's right. Miss Lawrence does have a senior position at Social Security. She's a big shot in local parlance, and I'm sure she's more than qualified to respond. Now, the last call, of course, is emphasizing or repeating a concern that I mentioned earlier, right? The ease and facility, the seeming ease and facility with which non-citizens, non-nationals, non-citizens receive a Social Security card. You want to return to... He spoke about visiting apartments. I'm not familiar with what you're referring to there. You might want to comment
I'm not
on that
sure if he meant to say
We
apartments.
will interrupt you, of course. We have another caller? Yeah, let's take him and then we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Yes, caller. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yes, good day. I just going to make my little contribution, but I asked a question and made a statement.
Sure.
Like, say, for instance, if a man owe court and he pay off court just give him back some money if he pay off before his time. I said that to say this. If somebody put in the 60% in Social Security and they're still working, you don't think Social Security is supposed to give them back the money?
Well, personally, I'm not sure I follow that, but maybe Miss Lawrence understands the question.
Okay.
Just a minute. That's it, sir?
Hello?
That's it from you?
Yeah, I'm just asking in general.
Yeah, right. She's going to answer the question.
Yes, I'm asking like this. When people like a court.
Yeah, she understands the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, with Social Security part, if somebody put in the 60%, that's the maximum, and they're still working, you ain't think Social Security supposed to send back the money to them?
Right, so we're saying she's going to... Miss Lawrence is going to address the question. Okay?
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Thank
Let's
you.
take another caller. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, sir. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yeah, how are you, man?
I'm okay.
Yeah, you can spell you know, it was a debate about whether persons should access getting the COVID relief money, people who didn't put money into the Social Security Fund, whether they should get money out or not. I mean, can you just give her take on that? And also my other question is about the persons who may be offered employment and refuse to take it and figure they can just like stay hanging out, getting that $1,000 a month. Is there a way that they're going to close that loophole up?
Okay.
All right, that's my contribution for now, man. Maybe I'll come back later.
Thank you. We have yet another caller. Hello, caller.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Blake and Miss Lawrence.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wonderful program.
Could you speak a little louder, please?
Wonderful program, I'm saying.
Thank you.
Can you list the criteria of persons who will become eligible for September's payments, please?
Sure, I can.
Sure. She will. She can and she will. All right. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, talk to us.
Hello?
Hello?
Talk to us, we can hear you.
Hello?
Sir, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
Now, I am a pensioner. And I am asking you a question. Now, when people don't reach the age of 52 going down to nearly to 70 years and still working and still getting Social Security, and the young people outside there who supposed to be working to put money in the fund, and a lot of pensioners and the PEP is working and still getting Social Security. Well, I'd like to know about that, because they are drawing pension, they ain't paying no Social Security, and young people who need work to build up the Social Security fund. So I would like to know what the government is going to do about that. Because if the pensioners and the PEP they continue working and drawing money, well, something have to be done about that. So I'll listen after here.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's take another caller. Hello?
Good morning, Brother Blake.
Yes, sir. Talk to us.
And good morning to Miss Lawrence there.
Good morning.
And the others there who come Social Security. Now, Miss Lawrence, my lady put this morning that he got a lot of pensioners upset with the package that the Social Security has given out to these people who are affected by the COVID, especially those in the tourism sector. And what they saying that what become come are the Social Security, the money, the pension, because this money is paying out. We know that a lot of people die 60, 50 something years and contribute a lot to the Social Security, and some of them, maybe the family or the children, then get something back. And you know, when somebody dies, they only get one, I think 2005, and all that money will left up from these people to help build the Social Security, to help others who can help themselves. So I would just want you to let them know that if Social Security could sink without doing what you're doing right now, and they cannot get the pension in the future. Wonderful program as usual. God bless.
Thank you, but we did address that concern before, but if there's time, Miss Lawrence will return to it. Let's call her. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, Miss Lawrence, with the self-employed, you know, some people are in the wrong bracket. So they may have A, B, C, D, E. Let's suppose somebody who should have been in a D bracket is paying in a B bracket. In this time, you know, they can make a little contribution. But the honest person who should be in E, the two help me to get in, they can't pay the Social Security. That they bar them from applying. They might get a little job here and there, but they can
they can come into pay. I am saying that when you're doing this, you take in consideration what bracket these people are in. If they're in the right bracket, you don't think so?
Okay, she'll adjust that as well. We're taking the calls in bulk and then we'll adjust them all. Okay, fine. So the question of workers in certain brackets being given special consideration based on their circumstances. Okay, so we have a series of questions. I notice you've taken note, which is a good thing. So it's all over to you now, Sister Lawrence, and carry on.
Okay, I'll start at the bottom going up. The brackets are self-employed categories. Depending on your type of employment, well, all employment is categorized into 3 broad categories. Then there are selected wage offerings for each one. Now, if a person can prove that yes, I must settle myself in E because of my trade, but I can pay on C. Social Security provides that leeway for that person. Okay. And you can change your wage category twice a year, January and July, and you can only move one up or one down. So let's say your wage band is between $20 to $40. Let's say you're in the wage band of 30 and the period is slow. In June, you can choose to go up to 20. If it's better by January morning, you can go back to 30. If it's better again by June, you can go up to 40. So that already there is the built-in leeway for someone in a wage category to move between if they're facing financial difficulty. So no one is the bad. If there's a challenge, come in and talk to us.
That's a lesson for me. I was not aware of those bracket divisions. But
yes, there are.
Carry on. Sure.
The pensioners being upset or concerned that perhaps there may be no money for their pension. Again, I want to assure you that Social Security is viable, solid. However, we are at the stage of reform. Social Security systems are built to serve a particular period, considering the demographics being the age of the population, the workforce, and so on. So the time is now that we are to look at our Social Security composition to determine what best suits our way forward, what types of changes will be made, what we can improve on, what we can leave out, so that the Social Security function meets its mission as we go about. So there's no alarm. The Social Security organization is to provide income to working persons when contingencies arise. And we are facing a pandemic, and as such, we are mandated to provide that necessary support. Government's response to pensioners being employed and in the person's mind perhaps not contributing to the fund and disallowing someone who is younger an opportunity to contribute. That again is government's response to an issue like that. Social Security, at age 62, you no longer contribute to Social Security, but once your wages are over $360, you contribute to levy. So Social Security cannot speak to who is employed or remains in the workforce.
By the way, quickly, is that optional or is it mandatory that once a person attains the age of 62, he ceases to pay Social Security? Or can he choose to continue to pay?
No, because at that age, you get your age pension at 62 based on the law. We do not have yet.
Can one refuse to accept that pension?
No.
Because he's well off?
You could choose. You have to apply for your pension. It's not automatic.
Oh, okay, right. So if he does not apply,
don't apply,
okay, then he doesn't get it.
You don't get it.
Understood.
And then if you choose to apply years later and say, "Boy, I'm gonna go down there to claim 5 years now,"
right,
you will lose a portion of it. You would only be allowed to get 2 years back.
So if a fellow comes in at 70, for the first time, he would only receive from his 68th birthday, so to speak. Not way back when he was 62. Okay.
No.
Very well.
See, good information again coming out through this discussion.
Definitely.
The guidelines, that's a bit long, but I will go through them because it's very important that persons understand that this relief is specific to persons in the tourism sector and related fields.
Good.
So if you're a vendor, a braider, a masseuse, even entertainers, school vendors, they are also going to be considered once they apply. Recreational and sports vendors, certainly as well. So it's also important to note that persons who are in receipt of Social Security pensions or any type of benefit will not be eligible for this payment. Now, additionally, the persons on PAP or any other form of assistance would not. And if you've applied for the redundancy and you are awaiting your payment, those persons are also not eligible.
Okay.
The guidelines, the full details of the guidelines are on our website at socialsecurity.kn and our very active Facebook page, Social Security. You'll see all the information, the guidelines listed there. Our numbers to call for officers: 465-2535 in the PR department, 2604-2603, or customer service, and we'd be happy to provide some guidance. I want to assure the public also that we are doing our best to answer all the calls. We're inundated with the number of calls, so we are trying our best. It may be long, but we are answering as best as we could.
As many as could.
And as many as we could. The loophole for refusing employment. This was also discussed. If it is proven that you have refused the employment offered as a means to gain access to the $1,000, your application will not be considered.
Right.
Yes. The 60% max out that the gentleman was referring to. Now, a maximum pension is based on 60% of one's earnings. An age pension, you could get it from 13% up to 60% of one's earnings.
Right.
He's asking, if you get to 60%, if you can't get a drawback on, what you would have contributed.
Yes.
No, that is for one benefit that he's referring to. That's the age pension. But Social Security provides 26 different types of benefits. And they all have different qualifying conditions.
I see.
So for sickness, you must have immediate contributions in order for us to calculate a sickness. So you can't... You see what I'm saying? You can't stop and say I maxed out at 60% because that is related to an age pension, but not to the other types of benefits.
Okay. So it's not a general thing. It doesn't apply across the board.
No.
Okay.
Site visits. The gentleman referred to us being more visible. We are conducting those. We have lots of scouting missions even at night to ensure that persons pay what they're supposed to pay to Social Security. However, we rely on the public as well to give us information so that we can be of assistance.
Let's take this caller.
Sure.
Hello. Hello.
Mr. Blake.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to tell you who I be, but you know who I be because we talk.
Right.
But I wanted to ask a question. If you're getting disability from Social Security, when you reach your age at 62, could you get your Social Security after done putting in all the money because you were getting disability? I just wanted to know.
Okay, sure. She will address that. Okay? You want to take note of that? But let's take these other two callers first. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yes. I'm calling to find out. A person who is on pension, they're getting Social Security pension, but they are still working. They get injured on the job. Who would take care of them? Are they due for benefits even though they are on pension?
Okay. Thank you. She will also address that question. We have one more caller. Hello?
Yes, okay, I'm here. I want to tell my brother, Mr. Politics, that it's good to teach those who do not know, but there are three categories. You have priority number one, which are the pensioners who contribute to Social Security. And then you have category number 2 and 3. Category number 2 is who get in the package and they contribute very little to the Social Security. And category number 3 are those who pay nothing and they get in a package. So the category number, priority number 1 goes to who pay, who work and to contribute. So they have a right to get the pension before the kitty empty. So who ain't paying the money and looking for money, let them understand that. pensioners is first priority because they contribute. And so therefore, when the package coming down to nothing, who ain't contribute, just go on the back burner. So pensioners don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, back to Miss Lawrence for some answers, some continuing answers. Think she's doing a great job so far. Carry on.
Thank you. Now,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question about disability, and then when you get to the age of 62, will you get your age pension? No. Yes, you will get your age pension. However, I'm going to give you a little factoid. The figure will not change much because we base your pension on the number of contributing weeks. So if you would have qualified for a disability with, let's say, 510 weeks, your pension will be based on 510 weeks. So it kind of means that your money won't change, but the name of the benefit will change.
I see.
So you're no longer on disability, you're a pensioner receiving your age pension.
Yeah, and I think for some person it doesn't matter what name it falls under.
No.
The idea is that you collect something.
Yes. And then the pensioner who injured on the job, certainly as a pensioner, no more Social Security is paid out of your wages. However, your employer is entitled to pay 1% to Social Security for employment injury in the event of an injury. So that person is in fact covered by Social Security once there's an injury on the job.
The employer is obligated to pay.
Obligated.
Not just entitled, obligated to pay. Okay, right.
Yes.
Very well. So that answers the question well.
Yes. And then we were at site visits. Now Social Security continues its scouting missions. However, I was making the point that we rely on the public as well. If you have information, come in and speak to us so that we can take action. There are more persons, let me call them on the street inspectors, who can provide that support to Social Security. So something that we may have missed because more persons outside than who is intimately involved. So we rely on the support of the public to tell us so that we can take action. Then there was the issue related to the Social Security card for non-nationals. By law, the law prescribes that all working persons, it did not say that your status must be A, B, C, but by law, this requires that persons must be registered. However, there is the linkage and the collaboration between other departments of government to ensure that we are in fact covering the information and forwarding it to the necessary departments.
So let me repeat for Mr. Politics, I think that was the person who called. It is not a case where an individual can come in from St. Martin or Guyana or Dominican Republic today. Next week, he or she marches into Social Security office and gets a Social Security ID.
No.
And a Social Security card. That is not how it works. Now, that is how it seems to a lot of persons. But Ms. Lawrence is here to assure us that this is not in fact the case. That the person who applies is due diligence is exercised and the Social Security Board contacts and collaborates with other relevant
government
stakeholders and government departments to ensure that the issuance of a Social Security card is in order.
Yes, and
but so there are cases where persons are denied.
There are cases where persons are denied because the first step is that the employer must present a job letter on his job letterhead stating that he is employing this person, that person to do whatever job.
Okay.
Right? Once we have that, the Social Security and the information is, the Social Security forms is completed, the information is processed, the person gets a number. However, Social Security now then forwards the information because we have to search the passport for
the type of stamp
the
and so on.
stamps and all of that before we just issue.
I see.
And when we do issue without those things, the numbers, the information is recorded and forwarded onward.
Okay, we ran out of time as per usual. Whenever we're getting warm, time runs out. No, somebody called and asked the perennial question. A concern that is grounded in legitimacy, as I describe it. Those persons who didn't input, but extracting, they're benefiting from the relief fund. Is that a fact that there are persons who are benefiting from the relief fund who did in fact never made an input never contributed to Social Security?
All the cases that have been paid are registered persons with Social Security. All the applications would have been submitted by persons with legit Social Security numbers. Now, are we saying all were compliant? Of course, we knew that the issues couldn't have been related directly to compliance at the time. So there were certain guidelines established to determine eligibility. Were some denied? Of course, there were denials. So likewise, there would have been approval as well. So Social Security did its job during that period, and even more so now, we'll be more diligent because the information is showing that with each payment, the numbers are falling off, meaning one more persons have returned to work. So on this last leg, even more diligence would be adhered to.
Yes, Ms. Lawrence, time is up, and I believe we should have had another hour because I'm sure there are many more, we were inundated with calls. I'm sure there are many more persons who would have liked to continue the discussion by seeking clarification, making input via comments and so on. But as per usual, Frank and Candid is very limited in the amount of time that is allotted. I want to say that notwithstanding my being flustered, the word I used at the beginning, I have been, such fluster has been totally removed. I am now fully comfortable that Ms. Lawrence has done justice to the case. She has represented the Social Security Office well, and she has really presented information which is both elucidatory and satisfactory in my view. I want to thank you very much for turning up at short notice, apparently, following the discussion between the director and myself, and for doing good service. I want to encourage those persons who are eligible to receive to ensure that you follow the entire full spectrum of protocols and ensure that when you do receive the funds that you spend it wisely, you save it if necessary, and that we hope and expect that sooner than later things will return to a pre-COVID kind of normalcy as much as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being a part of Frank and Candid, and until we meet again, do the right thing. Thank you very much, Ms. Lawrence, and have yourself a great Independence celebration.
Thank you.